Start the chapter. Okay. In chapter 11, what we're going to talk about it is about research or researching and writing reports. Now, in here, the learning objective is write a clear problem and purpose statement. List the likely factors involved in the problem, explain the difference between the primary and secondary research, use internet search engine to gather information, use other web resources to gather information. Also evaluate the website for reliabilities, use a social networking site to gather information, use the library to gather information, use sampling to conduct a survey, construct the questionnaires and conduct a survey. Also design an observational studies for a business problem, conduct an experiment for a business problem, explain the use of or focus group and personal interviews, discuss important ethical guidelines for research, interpret your finding accurately and very well. Furthermore, you need to organize information in the outline from using time, place, quantity, factor, or a combination of these patterns. Turn the outline into table of content whose format and wording are logical and meaningful. Write a report that focus, objective, consistent, and a time viewpoint, smoothly connected and interesting. Prepare a report collaboratively. One of the issues that we need to talk about is a business plan. Why do we need a business plan and why important to write it properly? We'll discuss it. But we need also to look at the deepfake applications recently and the link below. But overall, we need to define a report. The report is an orderly and objective communication of factual information that enables key decision makers to make informed decisions. Now, we need to determine the purpose for the report. What does a good problem statement do for us? What does a good purpose statement look like, for example? What will you need to have in order to create either one of these, a good problem statement or a good purpose statement? Now let's state the problem below. Declarative statement. There's the one type of problem. Sales are decreasing at company X. Infinitive phrase, purpose, to determine the cause of decreasing sales at company X. And you have a question statement, what are cause of decreasing sales at company X? So these are the three state of problems that we might be utilizing. Now, we need to determine facts of state of problem. And there is objective and there is subjective facts. You might be focusing on the objective one much more than the subjective. But determining factors, discover the subtopics in the informational and analytical report. Then you develop a hypothesis. We speak about hypothesis for the problem, requirement, solution, considering the possible cause of the problem. identify point of comparison in the evaluation studies. There is a sample of purpose and subtopics. We can look at this purpose statement is to help the team prepare for a successful cross-cultural negotiation in Shanghai, China. So the subtopics will be the influence of Chinese history and the government on its culture. Another subtopic, the special role of Shanghai in Chinese history and culture. Business etiquettes in China, negotiation and bargaining in China, socializing in China. That's another subtopics you need to cover. And building a long-term relationship with Chinese. There is another thing which is a sample problem and comparison. And basically, you need a purpose statement in this one to talk about it. And basically, the purpose statement is to determine whether Y company new plant should be built in city A, city B, or city C. And you do a comparison base. Availabilities of a skilled worker in A, B, or C, excuse me, tax structures, A, B, and city C, community attitude, city A, city B, city versus city C's, and transportations, facilities, and nearness to market. These are sample, problem, and comparison. This is how you do a comparison. Now, to do that, also, there's another thing to do is to gather information. And information, there are two types, primary and secondary. Secondary, available, somebody done it before, is cheap. Primary, expensive, never done before. Primary, gathering information like, tech, you can do it, other organization in the IT that they can do it, Gartner. But in the primary gathering information, observations part of it, experiment part of it, surveys part of it, and qualitative research part of it. Also quantitative research also. The secondary is where you find it online, somebody done it before, library resources, and company records. So you need to gather information from the web. You work for a cave, forget the example, you use the search tools and understand the Boolean, the logic behind the search tool, how the search tools works. Use more than one search engine. Use a specialized search engine. There is a specialized one. Use other website or web-based resources such as blogs and social media. Now, gather information from library. All of us probably went to the library and worked in them from library. Well, in the library, you search for the catalog, the keyword, the subject, search the database, periodical literatures, consult reference material like encyclopedia, dictionaries, government publication, and trade directories. Gather information from surveys. So you need to choose a sample technique, construct a question, plan the delivery, and find the answer. This isn't a question. What's your opinion of a current right to work legislation? Now, more primary research, as we said, this observation can be done, experiment, public experiment, non-public experiment, focus group, interviews you might do. There is what you call, you have to, while you're doing these experiments, you have to take an ethical into consideration, and there is an ethical research. You need to follow the guideline for right parts for the participation rights, provide a reliable, unbiased information, look for a hole in your data or in your interpretation or in your question, cite your sources. But why we using outline? Outline, we usually show what things go together. Grouping, we show them in using it. Tells what order they should be in order or ordering, and reveals how the idea relates in the terms of generalities, like, outline 1, 2, 3, connected to each other. But when we do some kind of a research or patterns in the organization information, we need to take into consideration time, past to present or present to past comparisons. There is some has to be a base for it, a place broken down by geography, location, quantitative or quantity for information with the quantitative values, and factor those related to the problem. As also you look at the reliabilities and relative base of the gathering information. But when you do, the patterns of organizing or writing your reports, try to avoid the monotonous heading. Like, you look at this one. You keep repeating the same thing: oil production in Alberta, oil production in Saskatchewan, oil production. But you can change it to make it more interesting, like the leader, the run of Saskatchewan, the Newfoundland level. So you also need to look to make it more spicy in a way. Now, when you're writing the report, you want to make sure that you write a strong reader center beginning and in the end. So the center reader will grab his attention, and when he finishes the report, he comes up with some kind of conclusion. You need to be objective, because subjective might cause troubles, but use a personal writing for an easy comprehension. Be consistent with time, past tense versus the present tense. Include effective transitions. Maintain the reader interest by using a good writing practice. Now, beginning and the end. A good beginning states the report subject, reveal the kind of data it is based on. So you want to make sure the reader believes in you, believes in this data, believes in the subject states. So you need to reveal the kind of data it's based on. Indicate its significance to the reader. Now, in the good ending, you may summarize or interpret or recommend or make combination. You might want to start with some kind of an executive summary, must make the information clear, and must make the significance clear. You do all these, in the end, the last thing you do is the executive summary, but you put it in the upfront. Now, transitional sentence can summarize and forecast. Transition provide important bridge from one report section to the next one. So can summarize and forecast. So that's what that's what we will do, all this, to forecasting. Transitional words can show relationship, contrast, likeness, cause and effect, explanation, or elaboration. So transitions provide an important bridge from one report section to the next one. Now we saw the video, but when you're working collaboratively or in a group, determine the group makeups, create the ground rules, choose the means by which you will work together, make a plan for the report, divide up the research and writing tasks. If all the work has been done with the care and diligence, the team final draft should be a report better than anyone in the group could have prepared alone. So a group work, you're always going to generate a better work if you do. Fine. I'll end up with this chapter.